What's up, saints, friends, and others? Welcome to the King's Dominion podcast, the official podcast, I love that, of Dominion Church.
Yes.
And Dominion Institute, which is our school of ministry there at our church. I'm your host, Josh Wyatt. We are super stoked to be here, and I'm here again this week with Joe Launder. Yay, cue the applause track.
Woo,
yeah, woo.
That's me.
We love it. And Joel is getting married tonight.
Yes.
We're stoked about it, super excited. By the time this airs, they'll have been married for like a solid month or month
if
and a
not
half.
longer, because
2 months.
This is part 3.
This is part 3 that we are now going through of what we've been talking about. So that being said, I'm glad you brought that up. I highly encourage that if this is the first one you're watching, that you go back and watch part 1 and part 2, because we've got you set up for some relationships. What we're talking about is the relationships we have in our life and the relationships that everyone needs in their life. And we're calling it 5 relationships that every king needs in his life or her life. We're basing this off of the life of King David. So, of course, he was a male, but every king or queen, because God's made us kings in the kingdom. He's the King of kings. Who are those kings?
We are.
There you go. And the Bible is a book about a king, his kingdom, and his royal offspring. I'm one of his royal offspring, all right? And so because of that, I'm the king that we're talking about. 5 relationships every king needs to have in his life. And, of course, we're basing this, like I said, off of the life of David and some relationships, some key people that David has in his life. We've talked a lot about our time.
Yeah.
And how our relationships are massive resources. And we need to be very intentional with the relationships that we pour into and the relationships that we maybe reallocate some of that energy and say, hey, this isn't a God-ordained fruitful relationship. I'm going to, and not even because of obligation, because sometimes we're pouring a lot into people because they're blood family.
Yeah.
And it's a leech. Okay, blood leech, literally. And like we may need to reallocate that. And so not because of obligation, but because of something that's truly God ordained, a relationship. And so we talked a couple weeks ago about Samuel. Samuel's a prophetic voice, a vertical relationship, somebody over you that sees your destiny, sees your future, and treats you accordingly. It's a mentor, a pastor, a spiritual father, somebody that sees who it is that you're called to be and treats you like that. And we talked a lot even about the dynamic between you and I and how the Lord has allowed me and been such an honor for me, buddy, to be that for you. And what an honor, one of the highest honors of my life. And then last week we got over into Jonathan and that dynamic between David and Jonathan. And for a lot of people, this relationship is a friendship, but it is a covenant relationship. For us, we're each other's Jonathan.
Yeah.
But we're not, like David and Jonathan here, but we're not a friendship. Okay. While I love you, I love spending time with you, I value you in our conversations. This is a vertical relationship. This is a dad-son relationship. You call me dad, not by my first name. Actually, you went for your current job, your current secular job, you went to my wife's old workplace recently. And we were like, oh, we'll tell them that we said, hey, and yada, yada, yada. And you didn't, literally because you couldn't think of how to word what you wanted to word and could not say Hope's name out of your mouth.
Like I wouldn't do it.
It wouldn't come out of your mouth. Like, that's mom, like it wouldn't come out that way. And that being said, you're like, well, I ain't even going to bring this up. I don't even know how to say it,
I literally didn't even say anything.
Well, the familiarity, like we're not your, I've told you a million times, I ain't your little friend. I love you and I love spending time with you. And I'm closer than any of your other friends. Like friendship doesn't determine proximity or intimacy or closeness. We're extremely close, but it's not a friendship.
No.
But you are my Jonathan.
Absolutely.
A Jonathan is somebody you can be completely vulnerable with. You can trust with your life and with your vulnerabilities. And it's somebody that's the same gender as you are. So it's not your spouse. Your spouse can't be your Jonathan, okay? This is a relationship in addition to your spouse. It doesn't replace your spouse. There's no competition there, and we touched on that last week. But this is something in addition to your spouse. So who is your female, Jonathan, female to female, male to male?
And I think this goes without saying, and I'm pretty sure we touched on it. But your Jonathan, you should be comfortable around.
Right.
Like, don't be saying, oh, this person's my Jonathan. You get in there and you put up a wall and you sit on their couch like you've never been at their house before. Or when I go to his house, I put my feet up, I take my shoes off, I fix a drink, maybe a snack, bake some cookies. I go in the pantry like I own the place because he lets me.
Right.
Don't go in his pantry if he don't let you.
I mean, I even told him recently, I was like, look, do not do not turn your house key in.
Yeah.
There are those things like that, because when you move out, you get married tonight and moving out, I was like, don't turn your house key in. Keep your house key in case you ever need it, because we travel and yada yada. Of course, you travel with me a lot in other countries, but we travel and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a Jonathan, a relationship. The scripture says that there was an immediate bond between David and Jonathan, and even with that God took the soul of David and the soul of Jonathan and knit them together. And so it was a supernatural knitting together of their souls, which is something that's happened with us. And so even with that, we talked about that last week, but even with that, another relationship you need in your life that's controversial. You need a Saul.
Yeah.
You need a hater.
Everyone needs a hater.
Everybody needs somebody. It builds character. Everybody needs somebody that don't like you. Okay? And David needed that.
Yeah.
Because he learned to honor through that. He learned to walk in honor through that. And so, you're asking yourself, well, who's my Samuel? Who's my vertical that looks into my life, that sees my destiny, treats me accordingly? Who is that for me? Who is my Jonathan, my covenant person? Somebody that I can trust with my life, with my vulnerabilities, with anything that I've got. Who is that for me? But who is my Saul? And do I thank God for Saul too?
Yeah.
Do I thank God when there's somebody coming against me? I mean, is that something I can bring myself to do, because it builds character? Everybody needs a hater. Everybody needs somebody that looks at you and says, you ain't all that.
Or a few haters.
A few. I got a list.
Yeah.
I got a list of Sauls.
And the first time he taught on this, I didn't have none that I could think of.
Then they come out the woodwork.
And then they come out the woodwork, and now I got like 4 of them.
Right. And so that being said, everybody needs somebody that, man, they perfect your love walk. That part. They help you to walk in honor when it's challenging. That's a Saul. You need that. Every king needs that in his life. And number 4, I know I told you Saul wouldn't take long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You need somebody that don't like you.
You need a hater.
Number 4, a mighty man.
Yeah.
A mighty man is that person who is loyal and would do anything for you. There's a story, and I won't read it, but there's a story in 2 Samuel 23 where David casually says, "Oh, I thirst. I'm a little thirsty. I could use a drink."
Just a little thirsty.
And I'm telling you, these 3 mighty men of David go into the Philistine camp and kill some people over a glass of water.
Just for them to bring it back.
Yeah, this part is the sketchy part. They go through hell and high water to get this glass of water, right? Literally. And the high water to get the water.
Literally.
And then they get back. They're like, "Here, David, we got this for you." David is so touched. This makes no sense. Maybe it's a Jewish tradition thing. Not a clue. David is so touched, he pours it out. Bro, I just risked my life to get that for you. You gonna pour it on the ground? Come on now. But this is a mighty man, is somebody that would do anything for you. Again, you're one of my mighty men, and I have no problem saying that, but I have others. They're at the church, Dominion Church, and, other people in my life. In a friendship type aspect, who's that ride or die that would do anything for you that would even get you in trouble?
That person that you're like, all right, let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
If no one else can get me to do it, you can get me to do it.
That part. That mighty man that's I will do this because you need it. I will make it happen. Okay? No, this literally the other day, we were watching something sketchy me and my wife were watching something sketchy on TV. It wasn't skydiving, but it was something sketchy, thrill like that. I said, the only person that could get me to do that is Joe Launder.
Yeah.
That,
and that's even if I want to do it.
That part. So, who is that person that is that ride or die, that is that mighty man that you could say, I really wish I could have such and such, and all of a sudden it's there. That relationship. For some people, this is a friend relationship. For others, like ministers, these are people like our ushers, our deacons, people that serve in the church, and they're like, "Pastor, we would do anything for you." Man, I love that. Yeah. That blesses me so much that there are people in our church that honor me enough to say, "Pastor, we'll do it for you. We'll do anything for you." That's a mighty man. David needed his mighty men, and you need your mighty men in your life, or mighty women. Ladies, you need somebody in your life that is you need it, I got it. I'm going to do it for you, okay?
Or a few of them.
A few, yeah. Because again, I have a handful of people that I know, if I needed something, Like they would make it
Like
happen.
you don't have to limit these to just one person.
Absolutely.
Now, one person can fill several.
Absolutely.
But don't limit it to be, okay, well, I'm just going to make one person to each. If you got 3 or 4, take your 3 or 4.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, like, for example, I mean, even, I've in this conversation, we've had discussions where, like, I'm your Samuel.
Yeah.
I'm also your Jonathan. Okay. And you'll see later, I'm your Nathan. Okay. You're my Jonathan. You're also a mighty man to me. Okay. So, we fill different, various roles, but I'm not your only Samuel. I may be, but I have multiple Samuels. I have multiple people. Our church is an advisory board of ministers from outside of our church that I call in and get advice from. And all of them because I've introduced you to all of them. And so there's multiple people that I look to. And, of course, Jonathan is a more exclusive relationship, but the mighty men, you need multiple people that it's like, man, they're your ride or die. Who is that? You should really be looking inwardly, like, who are these people in my life that are for me, that could do this for me, that are this relationship in my life. And then finally, another one is a Nathan.
Yeah.
And we love this one.
My favorite.
We love this one. So just to recap, 5 relationships every king needs in his life. Number 1, a Samuel. Number 2, a Jonathan. Number 3, a Saul. Everybody needs a hater.
Everybody.
Number 4, a mighty man, somebody that is loyal, that would do anything for you, okay? And number 5, a Nathan. A Nathan, I love it, is a voice of confrontation. Because Nathan is a prophetic voice that when David is in sin, he goes to David, he gives him this extravagant word about this hypothetical person, this man who sinned, and then David's like, who the man is? And Nathan said, you are the man.
It's you.
Points his finger in his face and says, you are the man that we're prophesying about. It's you. You the issue, okay? Who can look at you in a confrontational way and say, you're the problem, And
then with that being said, like you said, you are my Nathan.
Right.
Which means if you come to me and you confront me about something, I got to say, you know what? He's my Nathan. I have to. The
amount of times that you say, like, your favorite way, because I think you're processing, is fair.
I see both sides.
Yeah.
When there really isn't both sides.
Yeah, that part. I'll be like, well, what about this? Yada, yada, yada. And you're like, fair. I'm like, yeah, it is fair because I'm right,
Yeah.
But who can look you in the face and say you're the problem? Who is that Nathan in your life that is a voice of confrontation, that is somebody that can hold you accountable and hold your feet to the fire? I didn't say everybody and their mama could check me, but there are people that can. I'm not letting just anybody speak into my life. And I mean, you can even speak to that because you had a situation recently, you know what I'm talking about, at work, that somebody was trying to give you counsel that you were like, you're not that person for me. We don't have the relationship. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about it?
Briefly, just in a touch.
The one that I talked about last night?
Yeah, about marriage.
Yeah, where the guy, he looked at me briefly. I'll touch on it. He looked and said, like, now's your chance. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, to back out. And I said, absolutely not.
Right.
And he was like, well, I'm just trying to provide some wisdom. And I was like, I'm a grown man. Like, this is what I'm going to do.
From you.
This is what I'm going to do. Like, I don't care what you have to say.
Right.
Like, you have no voice in my life at all. You're just some dude I work with.
That part. And so, again, not in a disrespectful way to anybody, but not everybody gets the right to check you. Not everybody gets the right in my life to be my Nathan. Yeah. But there are Nathans I'm submitted to. There are Nathans that can look at me and go, you're the problem. You're the issue. You need to work on this. And again, I'm that for you.
Yeah.
That I can look at you and go, hey, actually, you're the one that's wrong.
Yeah. And then it's not wrong for me to go, okay, how can I fix it? How can we work? How can you help me
process.
Work on this?
Let's navigate, And so you need to ask yourself, as we're having this conversation, you need to ask yourself, who is my Nathan? Is there somebody in my life that I have given complete and total control to check me in any area? Nothing's off the table. I'm not keeping things from them. I'm not hiding things from them. I have given them the right to speak into my life, even if it's in a confrontational way or with a confrontational tone. Because, there's even been times, without getting into details, there's been times that my tone, even with you, has been rather confrontational.
Yeah.
To the point that you thought I was upset. And I wasn't, and I've told you a million times, I'm not mad at you, not disappointed in you. I'm frustrated with the situation and that it got this far. And so there's been times that I've looked at you and fire in my eyes, and you're like, oh, dang, he mad. I'm not mad. I'm confronting, And you need that. You need a person in your life who can confront those things, those issues.
Someone who can hold you accountable.
Someone who can hold you accountable.
No one else except maybe like 3 people tops, and that's counting you.
Right.
Can look at me and go, no, you're not doing that right. Like you said, that was like way in left field. You were wrong about that.
Right.
And I go, all right, cool.
Right.
But them other, however many people.
It's not everybody's job.
No,
not
they
everybody
come to me
has
and
that
say
voice.
that, and I'm going to turn around. That's not your place.
Right. Absolutely. And so knowing that, and that story I told about Nathan comes from 2 Samuel 12. You can read it in your free time. But a Nathan that looks at you and goes, you're the one. You're the issue. You're the problem. Who is the finger pointer in your life that is allowed to be the finger pointer in your life, that is allowed to look at you and go, you're the problem.
Yeah.
You're the issue. And this requires humility of spirit, okay, to be able to submit to a voice like that and there not be pride and there not be issues, okay? So you've got to ask yourself, who has a voice in my life to check me? Who has a voice in my life that can really call me on the carpet with my issues?
Yeah.
Because when there is no accountability, like issues, you get so far off, It's like we've used that example a million times of a plane when it's flying because of how fast it's flying. If it's just like a degree off, but because of how far it's going over a period of time, just a degree over a period of time, you have completely missed the target.
Yeah.
So if there's not somebody in your life that can look at you and go, you're off by just a degree. And to a prideful person, it feels like nitpicking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like, that's not that big of a deal, but it's a degree, and I'm not going to let you get off by even just a degree, because I'm going to keep you here so that later on we're not course correcting something massive, and so this is just a small issue. But again, what does Scripture even say? It's the little foxes that spoil the vines. Mm-hmm. And so, earlier on in our relationship, I would ask you, do you want to know what I think about that? I don't even ask no more.
No, you just say it.
Because I'm going to tell you what I think.
Yeah.
Because you want to know, because I'm dad. But with that being said, early on I said, you just gonna keep talking? Because you would talk to me about stuff, and I'm like, did you just want to talk?
Well, even then, that goes with, if you have someone in your life that's a Samuel, you should want to hear what they have to say about topics.
Right.
Like, I take everything, literally everything.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to bring everything to your Samuel and let them decide or talk out with you, pros, cons, rights, wrongs, anything about it,
even natural stuff. What is your opinion about this?
I mean, I would really, really second guess if they're actually your Samuel.
They're your Samuel, if they're that voice in your life, if you've got that pastor, that spiritual father. And then on the spiritual father side, with the pastoral aspect, I'm not ever going to take advantage of that or control that or control you.
Yeah.
Because it's not my job to control you. And so with that in mind, there's been many times that I'll say, hey, I'm not telling you thus saith the Lord. You asked my opinion, I'm giving it.
Yeah.
So because of that, take my opinion, weigh it up against your opinion, talk to Kason, who is going to be your wife, and y'all figure out what you want to do. I'm giving you good counsel, but I'm not telling you this is from God, and I'm not telling you this is what you have to do. So, from this aspect, we're not advocating for control. We're advocating for seeking good counsel and leaving everything on the table. Because ultimately, if you're withholding something, it's either because you're wrong and you don't want to hear somebody else say it.
Yeah.
Or, I can't think of another reason.
Yeah, but
there may be other reasons.
With that, I think it's important to say, but it should go without saying, that a Samuel you should talk to frequently.
Right.
A Nathan you should talk to frequently.
Right.
A mighty man, a Jonathan.
Yeah, these are relationships in your life.
Love.
Yeah, with your Saul.
With your Saul.
These are relationships in your life that you should have frequent conversations with, okay? These are relationships in your life that, again, there were previous seasons that you lived with me even then, but we didn't talk on the phone as much as we do now. We didn't text or call. I'm a caller. I prefer to talk on the phone. You are too, so that's why we have our long phone calls.
Yeah.
But we didn't even text as much as we do now. Now we pretty much text every day. But there was a time. So you went on a trip. I mean, this was even just a few months ago. And you went on a trip, and I think we talked twice on that trip. You left on Friday. I think you called me on Sunday, and then you came back on Wednesday and got back home.
Yeah.
And 2 times. And when you got back, you said something feels just like I'm starved. Like I don't know how people do being away from their connection for so long. And it felt starved. And that's when I realized, okay, we rely on, and this is when the Holy Ghost started dealing with me about our talking. And if you noticed, it picked up from that point.
Yeah.
We rely on our connection to remain strong because we live together.
Mm-hmm.
but we won't always live together.
Yeah.
So that's when I started pushing phone calls, text. We need to have conversations. We need to touch base. We need to have meetings, yada, 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 because this should be a relationship that you do talk to often. This should be a relationship that you have frequent interactions and communications with, okay?
And I like that you brought up the part of phone calls, text messages,
Right.
Zooms, FaceTimes,
Yeah.
whatever you use, because not everyone has access, or like you live 5 minutes from
Right.
it. So not everyone has that. Like your spiritual father,
Right.
Apostle Earl,
Yep.
lives in Florida.
Yep.
It's not, you can't just hop in the car, go to his house, and come back home in the same day.
Right.
I mean, you could, but you'd have to leave
Be a
like
long
12
day.
to 12.
You'd have to be on that road trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that'd be a long road trip.
That part.
But you don't take advantage of the relationships that you have that are close.
Right.
But also don't disregard the relationships that you have that are far away.
Right.
Because every relationship that God brings to you is
Geographically.
important. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because people that are in greater distance geographically, you've got to talk to these people and prioritize that. And again, so regularly I'll text Apostle Earl and I'm like, hey, need a phone call. Have some questions.
Yeah.
Or I'll text him often and be like, hey, praying for you guys. Love you. Or any question that I have. I pursue that relationship regularly. And at the beginning of the year, I don't mind saying this, I've said it in the pulpit, at the beginning of the year when I look at our calendar, before I put my international stuff on, I'll be preaching currently right now, waiting on the other to come to get dates scheduled. But as of now, we'll be in 4 countries together.
Yeah.
In 2026 ministering. And that being said, starting with Japan in January, which we're super stoked about. But that being said, before I put international stuff on the calendar,
Yeah.
before I put family vacation on the calendar, when will I be around the Glissons? I put 2 things on the calendar. When will I be at Rhema, which was my school I graduated from, and that I go back to often for conferences. And when will I be around the Glissons? Their meetings and Rhema meetings get on the calendar first, because me getting around my connection matters. Me getting around the voices in my life that God connected me to, that God hooked me up with, matters. Me hearing their voice, and even them seeing my face. So Paul says this, which I love. He says, I long to see you, that I might impart something into you to the end that you might be established. They have to see you so they can impart into you.
Yeah. Pastor Nancy Dufresne says that when her husband was first coming up and everything, they sold their house so he can make it to a meeting to be around people that he was supposed to be around.
How much does it matter to you? How much does it matter to you? And I actually think that was in this message that I have your notes on right here.
Yeah.
But I mean, how much does it matter to you to be around the people? So, really assess, self-evaluate, and assess these relationships in your life, because in the last days, relationships are critical. God is moving through relationships in these last days. He's forming bonds between people that are supernatural in nature. He's forming relationships, forging relationships with people that are for kingdom business, kingdom work. And you need to make sure that you're not investing and pouring and putting all of your energy and time and all of this into relationships that are not God ordained.
Yeah.
Reevaluate.
You'll be drained.
And then you won't have the energy for the people that God actually brings into your life. So reevaluate. I have this note: learn to discern capacity within relationships.
Yeah.
And engage with people accordingly. There are people that I need to handle in 30-minute increments. That's the capacity within that relationship. And then there are people that we can go to Kenya and back.
Yeah.
And we're good. Like everybody, when I took you to Kenya last year, and of course we'll be there again in May, but when I took you to Kenya last year, everybody was like, you're going to be tired of him by the time you got back. I'm telling you, I got back late that night. The next day, I was like, man, I ain't talked to Joel today.
Yeah.
And mom, which your spiritual mom, my wife, Hope, was like, you just spent 2 weeks with him. I'm like, see what he wants to do. Let's hang out tonight.
Yeah.
Because that's a God relationship. There are other people that I'm like, yeah, we need to
once a week, 30 minutes.
Discern that, learn to discern capacity within relationships. Watch this, and engage with people accordingly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of wisdom needed in the navigation of these relationships so that you are being a good steward of your own time.
Yeah.
Of your own energy, because it's completely expendable, okay? Of your own time, of your own energy, of your own resources. Learn who has the right to all of me.
Yeah.
And who I need to give a part of me. Because even Jesus, pertaining to boundaries in Scripture, it says that they praised him, but he didn't entrust himself to them because he knew how fickle the heart of man could be.
Yeah.
That they were up 1 minute and down the next. So there are people that like you can interact with, but I won't entrust myself to you.
Yeah.
That's just not something that I'll do.
Well, even then, if you were close to someone in one season and not anymore,
Right.
I think it's worth a conversation.
Right.
We've had this conversation that conversations need to be had.
Conversations need to be had.
That you can't just stop hanging out with someone or stop talking to
No,
someone.
that's how people get hurt. Navigate that. Say, hey, this is where I'm at in this season, and this is where you're at, and I want our relationship to continue, but it might look a little different.
Yeah.
And conversate. Have that conversation so people aren't wondering, well, what did I do? I have
Yeah.
no clue, So that's a conversation to be like, hey, this is where I'm at in this season, and I want you involved, but you're in this season, and it might look different, okay?
Yeah.
There's wisdom in learning to discern capacity within relationships, engaging with people accordingly, and being a good steward of your time, your energy, your resources, so that we can have kingdom relationships. 5 relationships every king needs in his life: a Samuel, a Jonathan, a Saul, a hater, okay? A Nathan, and a mighty man. Evaluate yourself and see how many of these you've got. We love you. We'll see you next week.